Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Letting Go of Her podcast. I guess before I begin, I want to sort of apologize because I don't really have like a set topic for today. Um, it was the first week of my daughter going back to school, and my husband had to be at school also for different amounts of days, and I've been kind of on my own this whole time, and I'm just trying to navigate and getting used to new schedules, and everything at church is starting back up, so we've been doing that, and it's just been a little chaotic, right? And I've just haven't really had the time to take a break and really think about what it is that I want to talk about. I thought about it, and I had a few topics, but um i just I just kind of prayed right now, and I said, Lord, like, what is it, like, what do I need to speak up on? And I think one of the things that I need to talk about is community. And I know that this maybe might sound like a reoccurring episode. I feel that I'm always talking about this, right? Like, I wanted to make friends, I made friends, woohoo, I have friends, right? But I think it's just so important to find your community to be able to go through this walk of life. I have always considered myself like an introvert. Like, I've always considered myself someone who just loves being in her bubble, who doesn't like to really expand. It takes a lot for me to actually open up and to talk to people. But what I've, slowly learned to realize within the last like couple of years since I started doing therapy is that I actually suffer from social anxiety. Different things that I do are associated with social anxiety. I always thought that, oh, I'm just shy. Oh, I'm just nervous. Oh, I just don't like, being around other people. But this has actually become, or it's always been, an actual mental health disorder, if you can call it that. And it is something that I have been really trying hard to work on to kind of get over. But this has been the hardest part for me, um, because I I don't know how to, quote unquote, control it. When it comes to my generalized anxiety disorder and I start to feel these physical symptoms of anxiety, I have become good at like being able to tell my brain, like, no, this is just anxiety, it's not anything else, right? And even on the days where it's really really bad, I know that at the end of the day I'm going to be okay because it's just my anxiety. When it comes to social anxiety, I still don't know how to maneuver my thoughts. I still don't know how to change and rewire what my brain is thinking. My brain is still very much thinking, judgment, judgment, judgment. My brain is still very much thinking people are looking at you, people are making fun of you. And my brain is still telling me that I am dumb, that I don't know what I'm talking about, that everyone else is laughing at me, that everyone is looking at me. That is what goes through my mind whenever I walk into a room, whenever I um, speak, whenever I am around, like, even my own like friends. I tend to leave play dates or parties or get-togethers or whatever it is. Just extremely self-conscious over what it is that I said. And I just keep replaying these conversations over and over and over again in my head. And then I start to overanalyze, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I should have said this instead. Or why did I say it that way? Um, and this is just a battle that I'm still very deeply fighting. And I just I don't know how to overcome it. Like I said, when it comes to the physical symptoms that I feel with my generalized anxiety disorder, I already know, okay, I'm feeling anxious because my head is doing this, and my eyes are doing that, and my nose is doing, I don't know, like different, I already know what these anxiety symptoms feel like. So I already know, like, okay, this is just how my body wants to feel right now. Once it feels safe again, then I will feel safe again and I will feel okay. But the social anxiety aspect of things, I don't know how to shut my brain off. And I don't know how to tell my brain to essentially shut up. Like I don't know how to tell it to stop telling me these things. I don't know how to tell it to stop telling me that I'm not good enough. And this is kind of what I have been struggling with a lot lately. About a year ago, maybe almost 2 years ago, um, I no, about like a year and a half ago, I set some goals that I wanted to accomplish. And this had to do a lot with my social anxiety. I wanted to be able to overcome it. And to be honest, because I've been dealing with such bad generalized anxiety for the last like year and a half, I completely forgot about these goals. I completely forgot about how I wanted to overcome my social anxiety. And it wasn't until recently where I was talking to a friend that I realized, like, oh, wow, like I actually have accomplished two of those goals, and I'm on my way to accomplish number three. Nowhere near number four, but that's just because of my certain season of life. But the four goals that I had set out for myself was number one, to dress however I wanted to dress. Um, and I know that sounds weird. Like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean dress however you want to dress? Like, don't you wear what you want to wear? And yes, but because of social anxiety, I'm extremely self-conscious of how I get dressed. I feel that if I wear something too unique, it's going to bring too much attention to me, and I don't want people to see me. Um, I feel that if, for example, if I wear lipstick, that people are going to be like, "Wow, she's doing way too much with her face. Like, what is she doing?" I sometimes like I couldn't even wear earrings at one point because earrings brought attention to my face, and I didn't want people looking at my face. And very slowly within the last like year and a half, I have been working on that. I've always thought of myself as having like a unique style, I guess. Um, but to be quite honest, so I was in high school and I, owned how I dressed. I was like, all right, cool. Like this is me and this is how I'm gonna dress. And I would always get complimented on like, "Oh, you have such cute style, right? And cute, you dress cute and whatever." And I was very confident in that. I was like, "Okay, cool, like I can wear this, I can wear that." And um I entered a relationship that was abusive in all shapes or forms of abuse. And one of that was kind of emotional abuse. Um and in this relationship, I was just pushed down to the very ground where I lost all my self confidence. I lost a lot of my self worth. Like I completely lost myself in this relationship. And one of these things that would happen in this relationship was that I was made fun of the way that I would dress. Like, why would you wear those boots? And why would you wear that dress? And why would you wear this? And why would you wear that? To the point where I completely lost my sense of style, my sense of self. And when I started dating my husband after this relationship was over, um, I didn't know how to dress myself. Like I didn't know what to wear. And I'm not talking about like trends or anything. I don't know. It's a little weird and a little hard to explain, but I didn't know how to dress myself. I didn't know what to wear to make me feel good. And there were many times where we would have plans to go somewhere and I would just be staring at my closet and I would just cry and cry. And my husband would be like, "What is wrong? Like, what is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't have anything to wear." And he's just like, "What are you talking about? You have this, you have that." And I'm like, "No, but I just, I don't know how to put it together. Like, I don't know. I don't have anything to wear." And he would take me shopping here and there. But again, like, I had that so engraved in my brain that I was going to be judged by what I was wearing because of my past relationship, that I feared that my husband was going to judge me and say the same things if I wore what I wanted to wear, if I wore the like outfit that I had planned out in my head. And at the time, I was working at a gym, so all I ever had to wear was leggings and the t-shirt that they gave us, and workout shoes or whatever. And I worked pretty much all day long, so my outside clothes, my I had a whole drawer full of black leggings, black workout pants, black shoes and whatever t-shirt I had to wear for that day. And I had just very limited like actual going out clothes. So like when we would go out, I'd be like, I don't know what to wear. I feel comfortable in leggings and a t-shirt. Like, can I just wear that, you know? Um, and I would always see all my friends like getting cute, getting dressed. And I just like I couldn't do that. And I would even have friends over at my house and I'd be like, hey, look, help me pick an outfit. And they would just kind of be like, like questioning the things that I had, which only made me more self-conscious. So one of my biggest goals that I wanted to accomplish for the social anxiety was to dress how I want to dress. And I feel that very slowly I have kind of come back to that. And I know that like outer appearance does not equal inner beauty or anything like that, right? That's not what I'm that's not what I'm trying to get to. Um but for me, because of this past relationship where I literally just forgot who I was, it was a huge deal for me. It's been a huge deal for me to finally learn to be comfortable in my own skin again, where I know that I'm not going to be judged or criticized for what I'm wearing or what I decide to put on my back that day. Um, and very slowly, slowly but surely, I feel that I have been getting better. The other day at church, I decided to wear earrings and lipstick. And I kept telling my husband, like maybe every minute or two, I'm like, does this look okay? Does this look like it's too much? Does this look okay? And he's just like, you look beautiful. It's fine, you know? Bless my husband though. My husband has seen me, obviously, as all husbands have seen their wives dressed in their worst, like, you know, 37 weeks pregnant in their shorts, in their t-shirt, no makeup, like just, you know, and he still thinks I'm the most beautiful woman in the entire world. Um, so, I'm glad that I was able to kind of get over that fear with him. And he, obviously he's seen me at my worst. He's seen me give birth, just like fully operated, walking around with those open in the back gowns, or I guess it's open in the front, right? Because you're breastfeeding in the hospital. But anyways, yeah, he's seen me at my absolute worst. And I'm glad that I am able to just feel comfortable around my husband. Feel comfortable in my own home, I guess, because for so long I didn't feel comfortable in my own home. And very slowly I am learning to feel comfortable out in public and wearing what I want to wear and doing what you know, wearing styles or whatever that I want to. Um, yeah, and like I had someone who, came up to me and she was just like, "Oh, you just look so confident like all the time." And I told her, I'm like, "You know what? You fake it till you make it." About maybe 70% of the time I do not feel confident in what it is that I am wearing, but I'm going to just rock it because it's what I decided that I was going to wear that day and I can't go back home and change. So, um yeah, this whole like clothing thing has been a huge deal for me, and I'm glad that I'm finally, kind of over that hurdle. I'm on the other side where I can feel a little bit more confident in my own skin. My goal number two was to make friends. And I know that sounds weird, right? Like, what do you mean you didn't have friends? Like, I literally I mean, I had friends, but none of my friends lived anywhere near me. Um, or they were people that I met like through Instagram, through like my pages that kind of connected with me, and lived in completely different states. So people that I would never realistically ever meet. Um, and so, yeah, one of my goals was to make friends in my community. And I kind of talked about this like last week, right? And last week's episode about how like having my child as a super extrovert has made me step out of my comfort zone because she wants friends and she needs friends. So I need to befriend the parents and whatnot and go out and get to know them and all that kind of fun stuff. Um, a lot of fun stuff for this introvert. But I really wanted to make a small community for myself of people that I could like rely on people that if I needed the help, they would come to, but also that if they needed help, they knew that I would come to them too. Um, and that takes a while, right? It takes time to progress friendships and to progress relationships. To get out of like the surface level conversations, right? To have a little bit deeper, meaningful more meaningful conversations. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I have had the opportunity to be able to do that. And honestly, it wasn't by my own will. I would pray and pray and pray for friends, but I would still have my walls up. And, I would not put my guard down until the Lord forced me to put my guard down and gave me the worst possible anxiety I've ever experienced, to the point where I needed to ask for help to those that were around me. The Lord had always put these people in front of me, but I was the one who was refusing to open up. I was the one refusing to let them in until the Lord made me let them in. And although it was extremely scary, and it's still scary, and sometimes I'm like, Lord, I don't know why. I don't know why you're making me go through this. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity, because he literally answered my prayers, not in a way that I expected, but I mean, when does it ever happen that way, right? And my third goal, I'm gonna save the fourth one until it like gets close to happening. So the third goal, which I feel that it's the one that the Lord has been pushing me to do, is to share my testimony. um I always knew that I had to share my testimony, right? There's something very powerful in sharing your testimony. And for a really long time, I thought, like, well, I'm doing my podcast, right? And I'm very openly, very publicly speaking about what is going on in my life, about my convictions, about my sins, like about what the Lord is doing in my life, about the Holy Spirit moving through me. Like I'm pretty open about it, right? Like publicly on this platform, on my podcast. But I was having a conversation with a friend, because I was telling her, like, you know what, the Lord has really put in my heart to share my testimony. And like for the longest time, I kept thinking, like, well, yeah, I am sharing my testimony, right? I share it every week, every week on Fridays at 6 a.m. PST, right? Um, I am sharing my testimony. But then she said, like, sharing it to the internet is great, but there's something powerful about sharing it to your community, to the people who see you every day, to the people that you talk to the people that are around you, and to the people that can physically see what the Lord is doing in your life. And that's just like kind of when it hit me, like, you're right, like I feel that at times, especially in this world today with like social media, like, subconsciously, or maybe not subconsciously, but like you want the followers and you want the listens, you want the plays, you want the fame, and like you want the recognition, right? Like I want, I record these episodes, and I feel that sometimes I'm like, how many people am I going to be able to reach, right? Like thousands of people, hundreds of people, millions, like I don't get anywhere near that. But, I feel that somehow, because I've been in the social media world for so long, I feel that it's quote unquote powerful to share my testimony publicly on the internet, but I never realized how much more powerful it could be to share it within my community, within the women who see me every day, and within the women who can like physically see, where I was and where I'm going, and the work that the Lord has been doing throughout all of that. Like it has to be um inspiring. It just it has to give like there's got to be some sort of like motivation that they see to like keep keep going. And I know that some of the ladies that go to church with me, they listen to this podcast, and hey girls, I love you guys. um but I know that there is still like 99% of the people that I know from church that don't really know anything about me. And like what kind of impact am I going to be able to make if I don't speak up, if I don't talk to them? So there's there's my conviction of the week, right? Or of the day, I guess. There's my conviction from recording this podcast episode. Is just I need to open up to my community. The Lord has put me there for a reason. And one day I will tell you the story of how I got to where I am. how I got to that church because it was by pure coincidence. Not even coincidence. It was just, I don't know. That was truly the Lord who pushed us, or who pushed me to go there. Um and it's crazy. But I really feel that I can make a much bigger impact by speaking up to the women that are around me, and to the women that I do see. Um, it's scary though, right? I do have that social anxiety. When I was talking to my husband about sharing my testimony and how like an opportunity could potentially come up, soon, I guess. And I even told my therapist, and my therapist was like, "Well, what are you afraid of, right?" And I was like, "Well, I'm afraid of, one, I'm gonna pass out on stage. I've never passed out from anxiety, but that day might be the day. Two, I'm gonna puke in front of everyone. I've never puked because of my anxiety, but again, that day might be the day. Or three, I might poop my pants because I'm so anxious. And I've never pooped my pants publicly." But that day might be the day. And she laughed. She's like, "Okay." And she's like, "Well," she's like, "But all these physical symptoms, like, they stem from a rooter, like from something deeper, right? A deeper root. Like, what is it that you're afraid of?" And I'm like, "I'm afraid of judgment. I'm afraid that my testimony isn't strong enough. I'm afraid that people are going to say, like, who is this chick? Like, who does she think she is?" Um, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to show the goodness of God as well as He's actually been in my life. And that is just kind of when I realized, like, it's not about me, right? If I am anxious up there, the Lord will give me the strength to not be anxious, or give me the strength to be able to speak in front of these women. Um, and it's not about whether my testimony is strong enough, because that's just, minimizing what the Lord has done in my life. And the Lord has done a lot. I have been through a lot in the last 33 years of my life. And if the Lord wants me to share it, I have no choice but to surrender and to share it, right? He wants me to share it for a reason. There might just be one person at church who is suffering as I've suffered. Um, and maybe they're just hanging on by that last thread, and they need that hope, and knowing that they will be redeemed by the Lord. And that would be a much greater impact, than sharing publicly on the internet, because that one person can come to me directly and say, "I needed that," or "I need help," right? And I could be the vessel. The Lord can work through me to be able to help someone who is potentially suffering the way that I suffered. And that, honestly, it would be just amazing. I know that I'm not the only one who deals with anxiety. Generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, panic disorder, OCD disorder, amongst all the amongst all the diagnoses I've had. I know that I'm not the only one, and I feel that it's very scary to talk about that publicly, because you don't want people to judge you. And I know there's just like this big stigma against mental health and against believers. Um, Many times I've heard people say, like, "Oh, people at my church, all they've ever said is, well, if you had more faith, you wouldn't be anxious. And if you, just believed a little bit more or prayed a little bit more, your depression would go away." Um, and not to say that that's not true. Prayer, faith, the Lord can heal you. But I also feel that the Lord puts these things in our path and gives us these things for a reason, and a reason that we probably maybe won't ever know in this lifetime. But all I know is that I am grateful, because I know that through all of this, He can still use me and he can still work through me. So, speaking on the internet publicly is powerful, but I think that the Lord really wants me to speak within my community. And I don't know how I'm going to do it or what's going to happen. I still have to technically find the courage to reach out to the right people to kind of get the ball rolling and get these things going. But I, I, I truly think that it can be a powerful thing. And to the ladies who are listening, who go to my church, maybe one day you will see me up uh, sharing my testimony, and I hope that you all would be just kind of rooting me on because um, it's been hard enough for me as it is to just like even just speak in a table and introduce myself. So the fact that I would be up there or could be up there is a huge thing, and know that that is 100% the Lord's doing. So today I want to pray um, for strength from the Lord to be able to help me get over my fear, get over my fear of judgment, and get over my fear of not feeling good enough. Because the Lord made me as I am, and I am good enough. And I am good enough only through His grace and only through His mercy. And I pray that if the time comes, or when it does come, that I am able to share my story that will 100% glorify Him and to show His goodness, because I wouldn't be where I am today without Him. And I pray that whoever is listening to this, that God loves you. And I know that sometimes dealing with anxiety and dealing with any sort of mental health issue, it feels lonely and it feels very isolating. But know that God is with you, and he uses everything, literally everything, for good. And I can attest to that because he's used everything in my life for good. You can hang on by that last thread if you need to, but make sure that that last thread is his, because that's all you need. The lady who was bleeding, all she needed to do was just touch his robe, and she was immediately healed. So you hang on to that last thread, because He is with you and He will be with you always. And I pray this in your Son's name. Amen. Today, I am learning to let go of my social anxiety. I want to let go of my social anxiety because I am a new creation.